Hello guys, it's me Unstable Voltage and welcome back to Civilization 5 with the Brave New World expansion. We are currently playing as Germany and hopefully going for a cultural victory. And since the last video I was actually trying to put a bit of thought into this and deciding should I change my ways and go for a domination victory here. The reason I was thinking that is we appear to be on an archipelago style map. And that does make culture victories a little bit more difficult because the archaeological dig sites become a little bit more tricky to reach. Although that's not something we have to worry about this early in the game. However, I have decided to stick to my guns. I'm going to go for a cultural victory for better or worse. It may not work out, but I'm going to try anyway. Like I said at the beginning of this, Germany is better suited to a domination victory because most of their unique civilization bonuses actually benefit their military more than anything else. We are going to have to build up a bit of a military force because with expansion space being at a premium, we may well get declared on by other civs that are just looking to steal our land. So you have to have a bit of an army because that is one of the things that sort of stops the AI from attacking you. If you have a really small army, the AI will see you as a pushover and basically see that as an excuse just to come and steamroll you. So we're going to try to avoid that. Because we're going for a culture victory, there are two things that we actually need to prioritise. Obviously, one is culture itself. Secondly is tourism. Now, we don't really get any tourism that early on. We do have a great work slot available already, so you can get little bits of little bits of tourism early in the game, but most of the bonuses and multipliers come much later on. That doesn't mean, of course, we should ignore things like science and trade because they are all very, very useful in teching up. We're currently actually losing money. We need to get some trade routes up and running as quickly as possible. Hamburg has just grown, so I'm just going to have a quick look there and see what we've got going on. I'm going to put the citizen management back on so we can have a proper look. So we're working the wheat, that's good. We are working the tile that gives us 2 food and a production. And we are also working the tile that gives us 1 food and a production. We do have some happiness. If I was to move that guy out of there into this slot to give us a bit of extra production, we wouldn't be starving. We'd still be in a positive for food. So we're going to do that for the time being. That will give us a little extra food. A little extra production there, but not extra food. Just have a quick look over here, see how things are going on. We're still on production focus at the moment. We can go back to default focus, which means we will grow quite a bit faster. Still got a few hexes to fill here. Now, you may at some point want to tick the avoid growth button. We're not going to do that at the moment. And the reason we're not going to do that is because we still have some happiness. But you may want to avoid growth later on if you start getting unhappy, because the more people you have, the more unhappiness that you're going to have. We are starting to get a great engineer. I'll explain more about great people later on, particularly important with a cultural victory when we start going for great artists and great musicians and great writers and things like that. So we're going to crack on with the next turn. Let's remember also we've got these barbarians down here that I would like to deal with, probably at the point where Singapore move their workers out of this hex here and I can actually get down there. What I might do, and this is probably a bad idea, I might move my scouts down there as well as my warriors and try and use both of them. Maybe the two of them together are strong enough to defeat that barbarian camp. Who knows? We'll have a look and see what we can do. Just going to stick my head into Singapore's borders. They still have those workers there. Of course, I'm stuck in there now until the end of the turn, but I can't actually move past them. And again, being on an archipelago-style map, we are going to have to rush our sort of sailing and optics to a degree because we need to be able to get out and explore. One of the things that I need to do is find an island or two. Find an island or two that is unpopulated and try and get another city established on a different island. But we don't want to travel too far away. We do have a coastal city, so at least we can produce some boats. Well, I've got the most food going on. But there again, having the most expansion isn't necessarily always the best thing. Okay, these guys have moved out now. But can't quite see what's going on. I suppose what I should do, really, is move those warriors out of the way and actually use my scouts to do this check, because they don't get the terrain penalty for moving up the hill, so they can stick their head in and stick their head out and do that on the same turn. They have moved their workers now, though, but I don't know where they're going to put them. I'm going to move in here, and then hopefully on the next turn we can get down to there, but we're going to have to see what they do with those workers, because there's absolutely no telling. But we do need to get down there. So we're just going to carry on. We have cleared a forest. We have researched the wheel. Now, there are some times where you do want to keep forests and jungles, because you may have certain things that give you benefits from having forests and jungles and things like that. Now, obviously, building things like mines and farms always remove the jungles and the forests. If you build things like lumber mills and trading posts, they don't remove the forests and things. But if you want to automate your workers, if you go into the options menu and have a look at game options, you've got two very important options here. Automated workers don't replace improvements, and automated workers don't remove features. Now, these are normally unticked by default, but it's very, very worth ticking these, because automated workers don't replace improvements will mean if you put a farm down, but the AI thinks it should be a trading post, normally the AI will just go and replace the farm with a trading post. If you've got this ticked, it won't replace anything that you've already built. And automated workers don't remove features stops workers from clearing forest, jungles and marshes. The only exception is if there's a strategic resource there. So if you've got something like iron or uranium or oil, and it's under a forest, they will clear the forest to get to it. That's the only exception, really. So that's one way of doing things. We're going to go for our next research here. Now, I actually think I'm going to go optics. What we should be prioritising, really, is buildings, and particularly sort of wonders that give us culture and great great person slots, particularly for artists and writers and musicians, but also that give us slots for great works. Now, that is something we will do, but I want to be able to get out there, get into the oceans, and actually have a look around, see if there's anywhere else we can settle. That's very, very important at the moment. So I can actually get my warriors down on that side. Singapore's gonna, well, Singapore are happy with us for some reason. Obviously, we did something they like. I'm going to move these scouts into this hex, which kind of pins their workers in the city. So on the next turn, I can move through quite easily. Singapore are moved by my piety. Well, I didn't even realise I had that much faith. I'm only getting 2 per turn, but that's why they're friendly with us, which is good. This now means we can stand in their borders without them getting upset for trespassing, because as long as you're friendly with a city-state, obviously they have embarkation already, so actually being out-teched by a city-state, that's fantastic. So let's start moving these warriors down. Let's get these scouts down through here as well. And we can go and deal with that barbarian camp. Hopefully get a bit more money. These guys can actually move a bit further. Well, they could do if those warriors weren't in the way, but we'll sort that out on the next turn. Definitely want the warriors to go through first. Now we are trespassing in Singapore. We're no longer friendly with them. It didn't go down because we were trespassing. It went down first, and then we were trespassing thereafter. So not to worry too much about that. Still not sure why these scouts seem to have 3 moves. Can't quite work that one out, but actually I just wanted them to do nothing. So again, a few more turns where we're just kind of skipping through, because there's not an awful lot we can do at the moment. But we are trying to discover where those barbarians are. As you can see, once again, we have some scouts here from the Iroquois. But surprised they haven't been captured by the barbarians yet. Maybe they've actually got rid of the barbarians, I don't know. So they're actually now escorting them with some spearmen. Very tempted just to capture them and actually stop them from settling. Which does sound a little harsh, but there is a good reason for doing that. But the downside of it is that once you start to get a warmonger, minor defeat. But we could almost wipe them out. It's worth doing that, because I could nab that settler and claim it as a worker. So it's probably well worth me doing that. And having these 2 units here does stop him getting his spearmen in and wiping them out. Apparently it does not, because my... Oh, that's why. I just wondered why my units moved. It's because they actually popped their city down there, which pushes me out of their borders, which is fine, because I can still take that out with my scouts, which should... Right, I'm going to take the unit, because I want a free worker, and I got the barbarians as well, which is fantastic. I'm in a bit of a tricky situation here, though, because I can't actually get out through his borders. I mean, these guys are safe, they can back up. But I don't have embarkation yet with either of these, or with the workers. That is problematic. So what I'm going to do is see if he will open borders with me. He probably won't. But I would like to be able to get my my units through. We don't have civil service yet, so we can't do anything about that. They are going to have to stay there, which is a bit of a shame. I'm going to heal my scouts up and send them south, though. See what else we can find down here. So, it's a little bit problematic. Right, we've got optics. That's a good start. We're now in the classical era. These guys are going to get survivalism, which will allow them to heal up a bit better. And research, we are going... What are we going to go into? We need to get to compass, really, but we can't do that just yet. At least we can now embark, but we need to get into friendly territory before we can do that anyway. The next thing we should probably go for, really, is... what would be the most useful thing to get early on? National College is nice to get because it would give us a boost to science. And also the National Epic, which would give us a slot for great writing. So I think we're going to go for drama and poetry. Then we'll probably go for philosophy. At some point, we'll need to also go for masonry. But I don't think we've got any... It's only 4 turns, actually. We'll go for masonry first. Then we'll go for drama and poetry. So just hold down shift. Click the second one. It'll queue both of those up. So these guys I'm going to bring back to friendly territory. They seem to be stuck. It probably means that there's a worker in the way. We're going to be traipsing through Singapore and upsetting them one way or another. Those workers have now done. I think what we should probably do is... We've got well, we've got lots of things we could upgrade here. So let's start by getting the camp built on there. Obviously you guys are stuck. I could just go through their land and declare war on them, but I don't really want to do that. And obviously my workers are in the same position as well. They can't do anything either. So let's go for the next turn and see what happens. Hopefully one of us will get civil service, then we can do open borders. I'm going to take the workers and move the workers onto the warriors to keep them safe. And when the scouts have healed up, they are going to move south. You guys are going to construct a camp, which will give us some extra production from that tile, which we are working. So it should give us... Now, they probably will clear the forest, actually, so it may give us less food. I'll have to check. I can never remember which way these work, but we'll see what happens there. It's good to get that upgrade anyway. We'll keep these guys on alert because there's nothing else they can do. Still in second place, whoever that is in first, they're really pulling away from us. So this video will be a little bit shorter than the last one. The last one did drag on for quite some time. I can't move through there at the moment, which is a bit problematic. Oh, it's because I don't have enough movement. That's fine. So we'll trespass for 1 turn. There we go. Mausoleum of Halicarnassus has been built somewhere else. We've managed to get Stonehenge, which gives us a great engineer point. So we're going to move through and get out of there. Now, if we just have a look at our city where we have Stonehenge, you can now see it here. And if we just have a look at Berlin, you'll now see that we should have a great engineer point. So, progress towards a great engineer, we're getting +2 per turn. So as you can see, we're 27 of 100. So in approximately 35 turns, we should get a great engineer. We're also getting a little bit short of money. What are we going to build at Berlin? Oh, Hamburg this time round. Hamburg, I think we're definitely going to go for the watermill. All of our advisors are saying we should. It will give us extra food and production, so it makes sense to go for that. What should we do here at Berlin? I think probably we should build a... I don't know. How close are we to our closest city-state neighbour? Not really far enough, although are on the coast. So I think what we're going to do is build a trireme first, because it's only 4 turns. Actually, we need the money. No, we're going to build a cargo ship. We need the money. That's what we're going to do. Those workers are going to sleep until I can move you out of that little area. Let's zoom out a bit so we can see what's going on. Trespassing in Singapore, which we already knew was going to happen. So let's move you out of their grounds. So that's all good. I think these scouts have healed up enough now that they can actually go exploring. And not an awful lot going on, really. We're in those turns where not much happens. Somehow,
how happy are they?
Got masonry now. Somehow I've managed to jump up amazingly high on the scoreboard. Not sure what happened there. Found some ruins, which is fantastic. And they give us 20 culture. And some more ruins there as well. So I'm glad I went down there now. Okay, so let's just keep these guys close to home. Of course, he is in the same situation now. He's got these guys stuck here and he can't do anything with them. So he may well want to open borders just to get them home. He probably will. So I'm going to move these guys into friendly territory. So let's see if we can reach those ruins. We might get something else nice from them. And barbarians do nothing. Let's grab those ruins. What do we get? We get extra population. Doesn't say who. Now, one of the things you do sometimes get from the ancient ruins is advanced weaponry, which basically upgrades your scout into another type of unit. Now, I know some people try and avoid taking them, particularly if they end up getting turned into archers, because the fear is that if your settlers get turned into archers, somehow the archers aren't quite as good. But they are. They're at least as good as scouts, if not better, because scouts have a movement of 2 and a strength of 5. Archers also have a movement of 2 and a melee strength of 5, but archers also have a range strength of 8. So the archers are technically better. Some people worry that they lose the scout's ability to move through terrain without the penalty. Well, the ignore terrain cost ability here actually carries on to the unit if it gets upgraded. So if these scouts were to get upgraded to spearmen or pikemen or archers or composite bowmen, they would still ignore the terrain cost. And they would be archers as well. So an archer is better than a scout, and if it's an upgrade from a scout, it keeps the ignore terrain cost. Now I've just actually seen this altitude training. That's why my scouts can actually move 3 hexes sometimes, because they get double movement in a hill. Not sure what it was I did to get that, because I certainly don't have anything in honor. It must be one of my wonders that I got. I've never noticed that before. I'm actually intrigued now to see what building I got that from. So if I look down here, I can see what I have. Well, it's not the Temple of Artemis, it's not Stonehenge, and it's not the palace. So why do I have altitude training? There must be a reason for that. Is it from my faith? No, because the only thing I have in my faith is extra food. That's very strange. That's very strange indeed. What do I have down here? No, I don't have any wonders down there. Okay, well, if any of you are watching this, and you can work out how I seem to have altitude training, I'm going to hit F1, go into the Civlopedia, just have a quick look at Germany. Certainly nothing says that I get altitude training by default, so I don't know why that is. Whether it's just an omission from the Civlopedia. Do my normal units? No, just my scouts. Okay, consider me confused. Unless they ran over an ancient ruins at some point and got the upgrade. That could have been what it was. Yeah, I've got a feeling it was. I think I might have ran over ancient ruins at some point and got an altitude training upgrade. That must be what it is. Mystery solved. So, let us carry on. So the first 100 turns or so of most games are usually pretty boring because you're just literally running around with not a lot to do. It's mainly about exploring. This might be a nice little area to settle in. Of course, it would kind of sandwiches between Grand River and a city-state or two, but we'll certainly see what's going on down there. You guys are going to just park up and sit that one out. It's going to be a while for Berlin grows in size, 62 turns until its next population growth. So we should probably really concentrate on getting a watermill up there, to be honest. You guys are just going to continue exploring. We found another ancient ruins, thank you very much. And we're going to move here and we are going to get these dies, which will help with our happiness. Now, there is one other nice thing about bonuses as well. Particularly the upgrades to units. is that they do carry over even if you gift the unit to someone else. I was playing a game with a friend of mine, and I was playing as the British. And the British, as a civilization unique, get +2 movement to their military vessels, which counts as a promotion for all of their military vessels. I also had the Wonder, the Great Lighthouse, which gives me an extra 1 movement per turn on all of my military vessels. So my naval vessels had 2 promotions, one that gave them an extra +2 movement, one that gave them an extra +1 movement. I gifted one of my naval ships to my friend, and he got them with both of those promotions intact. So he was able to move the 3 extra movement spaces, even though he wasn't playing as the British, and even though he didn't have the Great Lighthouse. The same should apply if you gift a unit to the AI or a city-state as well. So interesting thing to know that units still retain their promotions, even if you give them to someone else. Here we go, brilliant. This is what I was hoping for. Ruins explored, your unit equips itself with advanced weapons found in the ruins. You can see what we now have is archers. The archers have a strength of 5, just as the scouts did, so their melee strength is 5. Ranged attack is actually 7, I thought it was 8 for some reason, but it's not. Ranged attack of 7. We still have ignores terrain cost. We still have altitude training, so we've actually kept every advantage the scout had, but we've now got the extra advantage of having ranged attack power as well. May not melee attack. That's the only disadvantage that we actually have. But why would you ever melee attack for 5 when you can ranged attack for 7? Because a melee attack would be weaker and we'd take damage. A ranged attack, even from an adjacent tile, we attack without taking damage. If we get attacked, we defend with a melee strength of 5. And we still have our survivalism as well, which was the upgrade we took when we got a promotion. So quite happy with that. We're going to go a little bit further down there, just see what's at the end of this piece of land, whether it continues down here any further. Oh look, we found another ancient ruin. This is quite a little strait of land, isn't it? Okay, so we've now got our cargo ship. We could build another one, which would only take 5 turns. But I think what we're going to go for here is the watermill and get some extra food and some extra production, which will help speed everything up for us. We can trade with Singapore, which would give us the most gold. That's what we're going to go for at the moment, because it's gold we are in need of. And as soon as we can build a second boat, we will. Let's go on to the next turn. So, with any luck, this video isn't going to go on quite as long as the last one did. I know they do tend to be a little bit lengthy. It's so easy to lose track of time when you're playing Civilization. It's such an addictive game. There we go. There's another 20 culture. Well, that's going to help. We're almost enough for another social policy. Can't do anything else on this turn. It may well be worth actually getting a city down here on this piece of land somewhere and using it as a canal to get from one side of the land to another. That's definitely the end of the piece of land though. There's no ice in these 2 hexes, so there is definitely a way around there with ships if we need to. We're going to call these guys back, and then I'm going to get them to go and have a look around here when they can get up there. Might as well keep doing something useful for them. Now that's very interesting. The Japanese have just landed some settlers down here. That could cause conflicts between the Japanese and the Iroquois. We'll see how that works out for either party. Now I could build a caravan down here and try and trade with the Iroquois, but I don't think I am going to do that. There's not an awful lot that I can do here right now. So what I am going to do is produce an archer, because it's always nice to have a bit of an army just to fend off any attacks from the AI. It built that watermill very quickly, a lot faster than I thought it was going to do. Nothing we can do with a workboat. I think what I'm going to do now is go for the trireme, because it's only 2 turns away. And then I will go for another cargo ship. That's probably the best things to do. Kept my expansion promise with the Iroquois, because I haven't built anything else near them within X number of turns. And drama and poetry is now completed as well. So what should we go for next? Gardens are good, because gardens give us an extra 25% great people generation in the city, and they must be built to rivers or lakes, which both of our cities are, and generating great people faster is brilliant because that allows us to get our great writers and great artists all the faster. So it's probably best to go for philosophy. Get a national college as quick as we can, and then we can lead on to theology and eventually compass. We will have to start backfilling some of these techs as we go up the tree as well, because we are going to need them. So I'm going to go on to the next turn. Still got some unhappiness, so we need to sort that problem out. Hopefully our workers up top there will be connecting up those dice soon enough. We can adopt a policy. Now, we could adopt all the policies in the tradition tree. The oligarchy is good because it means that garrisoned units cost no maintenance. But we do have a reduced maintenance anyway because we're playing as Germany. But we would be filling all the policies in the tradition tree, which would give us an extra 15% growth and a free aqueduct in the first 4 cities, which is fantastic. And also allows us to purchase great engineers with faith starting in the industrial era. However, I'm not necessarily sure we want the increased growth quite yet. I mean, it's not the industrial era, so we don't need to worry about getting the great engineers. And yeah, the problem is we've already got unhappiness, so we don't want to grow all that more quickly. So we're going to start with the aesthetics tree. And adopting aesthetics allows us to earn great writers, artists and musicians 25% faster and unlocks the building of the Uffizi, providing, of course, we have the appropriate tech for that. So that's what we're going to go for, as after all, we're going for a cultural victory. This is building things a lot faster than I'm expecting it to. It's confusing me now. So we could build the Parthenon, which we probably should do, because it comes with a pre-built great work of art and 4 culture. And that pre-built great work of art will actually give us our first bit of tourism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this... I'm going to set Berlin onto production focus, which isn't going to make any difference because I think that's what it's defaulting to anyway. Because we're unhappy, it's already set it to production focus. But I'm going to leave it on production focus because when these workers get those dies connected up, that will put us into positive happiness and that will cause it to switch back to food production. The trireme I'm just going to put on explore. I'm just going to let that go off and see what it can find. And go on to the next turn. One of the first and few units that I've automated on this game, but triremes can only move around in these shallow tiles, in the sea tiles. Sometimes you can get from one body of land to another, because sometimes bodies of land are only 1 hex apart and are connected by a shallow tile, which means you can move across them. So quite happy to leave that unautomated and see what it can find. Still at the top of the scoreboard, which I'm quite happy about. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to win, but it just means I'm at the top of the scoreboard. Discovered some ruins. Can't really get to them all that easy. Although I guess I do have a unit that could potentially get over there. And it would only take 10 turns. So yeah, we'll do that. We've now got the dice connected up. And as you can see, we have a happiness of 3. If I was to put this back onto default focus, it's now defaulting to food. Because it's giving us that extra 12 food and down to 20 production. If I go to production focus, production goes up, food goes down. So I'm going to stick on production focus for the time being, just because I really want to build the Parthenon before anybody else. I'm going to move... let's just have a quick look, actually. Yeah, when we built that camp here, we did just get 1 extra production. What I'm going to do now is I will move those guys over and upgrade the wheat field here, because we are working this wheat field. Can they actually move? Yes, they can. And building a farm will give us an extra 1 food. So instead of 3 food and 1 construction, it will give us 4 food and 1 construction. And we'll go on to the next turn. So this will be turn 100. Well, after this turn will be turn 100. Those guys got back where I wanted them. They're now having to peg through forests, though, which doesn't help an awful lot. Still very interested to know where... Oh, camera glitching out. Where those Japanese guys went. Okay. We have found the Songhai. Let's instantly try for mutual embassies, which we get. So now we can see their capital. which is actually quite a way down here. And, no, found Geneva. How did we... I'm confused. How did I find them? Have I ran into one of their units somewhere? That's very strange. It would seem that I've ran into one of their units, but... Oh, there they are. Wow, how did they get over here? They're really travelling, aren't they? And obviously they have embarkation or something, because they've got all the way across here. Okay, Hamburg. What are we going to go for at Hamburg? I'm going to try and make this a science city because it's next to a mountain, and I'm going to make sure all of my culture's in the capital as much as I can. So things like the Writers Guild and the National Epic, which are a national wonder, which means you can build, everyone can build one, but you can only build one of them. I'm going to put those in my capital. Although I am going to build an amphitheatre because it's well worth having the additional culture. It does have a great work of writing slot, but remember with amphitheatres you can actually have... It's just a normal building, you can have one in every city. So it's well worth doing that. Got my archers here now. Going to keep them in the city actually. They might as well stay there for the time being. I should have put them on sleep actually, but I'll do that on the next turn. Right, he wants citrus for salts. Do I have a spare salt? I'm going to assume that I do. That could be wrong, actually. No, I'm still getting happiness from salt, so I must have had a spare one. Good stuff. Now, obviously, his spearmen here have got the... I can't actually select them, which is annoying. His spearmen must have the embarkation promotion. That's how they got here. But the Iroquois don't, and he's kind of stuck, so at least we're on equal footing there. Apparently we found a barbarian camp, which I'm nowhere near. You guys are going to continue, and that's pretty much the end of that landmass. So there's quite a bit of land down there, actually. The only thing that's probably worth nabbing would be this sort of area to get the spices. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to be all that useful. Need to get open borders with this guy as soon as possible so that I can get my units through, actually. Which is a bit of a pain. I don't think either of us are in a position yet. I know I haven't got civil service. I doubt he has. No, he hasn't. We will want to get open borders as quick as we can because open borders actually helps in getting a cultural victory. You get a bonus spreading your tourism to any city that you have open borders with. At least we're still at the top of the scoreboard, but I think the second place is closing in on us a little. 12 turns before Hamburg grows, 4 turns before Berlin grows, and 7 turns before we get the Parthenon. Now, bear in mind, when the population grows, we might get some extra production out of that city, so it is possible. I guess what I could have done was send the workers down to build a mine, and the mine would have given us some additional production instead of concentrating on the food first. And this is one of the main reasons, one of the main advantages for actually manually controlling your workers, as opposed to just leaving them on automated, because you can prioritise which tiles they're going to upgrade first. So I really should have come down here and built a mine first and given myself some extra production before doing anything else. But it's not too bad, it's not the end of the world. A unit needs orders, we're kind of stuck here now. Not too sure where these Japanese warriors have been and what they've taken damage from. We certainly know there aren't any barbarian camps around here. The Iroquois are building catapults. He does have a habit of trying to rapidly expand when he's cornered, so he could well come after us. Now, bear in mind, if he attacks us and we defend, we won't get a warmonger penalty because we are defending, and it also means that if we actually... We've got philosophy there. If we actually try and take one of his cities, we may well get a warmonger penalty, although it'll be quite a low one. So, we've met the Incans. And again, we'll go for a mutual embassy. It's always worth doing that. There's no downside to it, and it instantly means we get to see where his capital is on the map. He has quite a bit of silver. I don't really have anything spare to trade with him at the moment, although if I get my workers down here, we can hook up some extra salt. So that's right next to Hamburg. That salt there is within 3 hexes of Hamburg. My mouse has now decided it doesn't want to go up and down anymore. And this salt here is actually 1, 2, 3, 4 hexes from Berlin. Now, because it's 4 hexes away, we can't actually work this tile. As you can see, there's no there isn't one of these icons, and there's no food or production yield because we can't work the tile. But if I send my workers to that tile and build an improvement, if I build a mine on it, I will be able to get the salt. So when worked by a city, +1 food, +1 gold will never happen unless I build another city closer to it. But I can improve it to get the 4 happiness and the salt to trade. So it's always worth knowing that. We're going to go for construction so we can get the lumber mill. In fact, what do we need to get civil service? We need horseback riding and we need currency to get civil service. I think we're going to get civil service first. I'd like to start getting open borders as quickly as I can, to be honest. So that's what we're going to go for. And as you can see there, if you actually just click something up the tree, it will automatically backfill all the technologies you need to get the one that you are after. So I'll probably just make this one last turn and then call it a video. Going to go over to this plains here, and I will make that into a mine. That will give us some extra production. 4 turns now until the Parthenon. We have increased in size. These guys can't do a lot really. They're just going to have to camp until they can do something. I know I said that was going to be the end of the video, but I've done it again and I've hit next turn. And that's why these videos go on for an hour, folks. So, Japan's still well down there at the bottom of the score table. The Iroquois have started to move up, which is a little bit worrying. They do seem to be amassing a little bit of an army. I'm going to get slightly concerned. I think what I'm going to do is produce another couple of military units and try and get them into Hamburg. However, they're going to be a bit problematic because if they do decide that they're going to start on me, I'm going to just march straight through their territory and attack Grand River. So you guys are going to build a mine, and then that is pretty much all I can do on that turn. So we are getting to a point where we will be able to start producing some some tourism, which is how we win a culture victory, and I'll explain more about that when we actually start getting some tourism and start getting some great works. We're not doing too bad. We're a little bit low on science, but we are going to be having our oracle, hopefully, with any luck, and we should also be able to build our national college. We've only got a couple of cities though. I think that's our biggest drawback at the moment. We really need to find somewhere else to settle. We don't really have a lot of room here to expand. I could put another city up here, but it seems very pointless in doing so. There isn't really much point in putting a city up here because it's mainly tundra. Although we could land a city here. It wouldn't grow very quickly because there isn't really any food, but we would be able to get quite a lot of silver. If I put a city there, we'd have at least 3 silver. So that might be worth doing. But that's something I'll look at a later time. I'm going to get that ruins, which is where our warrior's on the way to. But yeah, we really need to get open borders so that I can get these workers back and use them to start making some improvements in Hamburg, because one worker is quite busy at the moment. So there we go. I hope you're still enjoying. I'm determined to go for this cultural victory, whether I achieve it or not. So I'll see you guys next time, and until then, goodbye for now.